I have an unfair advantage in business, and it is not my strategy. It's not what I say. It is the levels of self-belief that I have within me. And by the end of this video, I want to teach you how to master self-belief, how to become so convicted in yourself so that you never, ever doubt yourself again. One of my favorite concepts in business is that business is literally just self-development on crack, right? Like who you be and how you respond to different situations will determine your levels of success. And the person who succeeds and goes the furthest, not just in the short term, but in the long run, is the person who can navigate doubt, who can navigate fear, and who can continue to come out on top over and over and over and over again because it is who you be inside of your soul. I used to say this quote all the time. It's a bit from Central C's rap. You can't teach man how to hustle, some man just got it. But I disagree. And so, inside of today's video, I want to teach you the psychology secrets to unlocking unshakable levels of self belief that will set you apart from everybody else in business. This is your unfair advantage. Now, if we think about right now, knowledge is becoming less and less of a finite resource, right? Like everybody can be the best marketer. Everybody can be incredible at copywriting. Everybody can create really incredible content and products and services because AI has given us the tools to be able to actually fast track that, right? In the past, you had to be somebody really with really strong communication skills and copywriting skills and your ability to articulate. Now that's not as important because AI literally does it for you. And so, what your unfair advantage is going to be is the real emotional resilience and the self belief work that makes everything possible. Now, I see these mistakes a lot in women in business, right? Is that sometimes we outsource our self belief to strategy. So we assume when I have the strategy, I will believe in myself. When I start to see the results of said strategy, then I will believe in the strategy. But the real secret, hidden advantage, the unfair advantage comes from when you can believe in yourself before that exists. When you can believe in yourself and your offer so fiercely that regardless of everything else, you know that it is the best of the best of the best. And that comes down to not just saying positive things about yourself and just thinking, yeah, like it's all going to work out, but also really cultivating what it takes on a subconscious level and in your actions and your behaviors every single day. Now, a lot of the time, people will say to me, like, oh, but I have so many limiting beliefs. Like, I have so many fears, right? Let's say I say to you, go live on Instagram, post on YouTube, post on a podcast. If this is another YouTube video in itself, but like creating a personal brand with omnipresence across different platforms, again, more important than ever. If you want to get rich, you're going to need to be a big personality, a presence that people actually want to consume and they consume on multiple different platforms, right? If you think of the best of the best, they're not just on Instagram, they're on all the things. And sometimes we allow fear and limitation to get in our way. So we go, but I'm too scared, but I'm not good enough yet, but I don't know if I can trust my voice to say what I want to say. And what a lot of people will do is they will spend time trying to remove those fears and working on the limiting fears. And I did this for a really long time. I am an NLP coach, right? I have done the timeline therapy. I have done the rewriting your limiting beliefs. And for a really long time, I thought that was like the key to growing your business until I realized that what was happening over and over and over again with the clients that I had that were working on growing their businesses is they allowed these fears to prevent them from doing anything and it almost became a scapegoat. The goal of becoming an unshakable CEO and your unfair advantage is not to remove every single fear. It is to walk hand in hand with fear and accept it. Now, if we think about parts, right? Parts integration is another part of this. Fear is a part of you. And by trying to remove that part, you make it very difficult for yourself to succeed. It would be like we need contrast, we need duality. Life is full of contrast and duality, and it's kind of the point, right? We wouldn't enjoy the sun if there wasn't the darkness. You wouldn't enjoy sleep if you weren't awake. You wouldn't know what it feels like to be full if you had never felt hungry. And so fear isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not something that you need to spend all of your time focus on energy on removing it. Rather than acknowledging the fear, go, hi, I see you. This is a part of me. I acknowledge this fear. And when you bring it into the light, it very often dissolves because it can't exist in the darkness, right? The ego loves to suppress your fears and to make you think that they're this really, really big thing because it keeps you in the familiar now and it prevents you from taking action. And this is my point, is that you don't need to remove all of these fears in order to feel complete and whole so that you can go and do the thing. You can acknowledge the fear. You can walk hand in hand with the fear and you can say, hi, fear, I see you, but I'm going to choose now to go in alignment with my zone of genius and go and do the things that I'm called, that I'm here to do. Fear doesn't need to be removed. Courage is walking hand in hand with the fear, and bravery is what you need more than anything. You can spend all of the time in the world trying to remove every single limiting belief that you have, but you will find yourself tripping over and over and over and over because as you continue to grow and expand, you are going to be faced with continuous fear and continuous stretches and meeting that edge and then going, oh crap, I have to back off so that I can heal this limiting belief before I can move forwards, right? It's not to say that some limiting beliefs obviously are going to be really big, but it's your, in my perspective, it's really your responsibility as a CEO, as a business owner, as somebody who's going after it in a very fast-paced world. Do I want to spend time removing this limiting belief, or do I want to simply acknowledge that fears are a part of me and it's not a bad thing? Trying to remove the fear would be the bad thing because I can feel the fear. And this is also where you become really emotionally aware of the feelings that you have. And I can feel the fear. I can feel the doubt. I can feel this discomfort in my body. And it's up to me whether I want to spend the time removing the fear or if, sometimes that's going to be the case. But like a lot of the time, I really do find sometimes we can spend more time focusing on the fear itself than we do actually working towards the desire. And then we become this like self-fulfilling prophecy where the thing that we fear, we end up entertaining and giving light to, what you think about and what you focus on expands. We end up focusing more on the fear and the fear of the fear than we do actually doing the thing that will help us get through the fear. And the only way is through. When I started my self-development journey, one of the books that I read was The Obstacle is the Way. I read this maybe back in 2020. And I remember loving this book because it gave me permission to utilize the things that were obstacles, the things that I was afraid of, the challenges, the perceived failures, and actually see them as part of the process rather than something that blunts it, right? Sometimes we see business as an end goal and we see this like self-development or removing limiting beliefs as the end goal, but that's actually the process. That's the process because as you continue to evolve and expand and grow as a human, more and more will come up. So the first one is fear does not need to be removed. The second one, to having unshakable self-belief, and again, kind of leading into that fear is knowing that I am always bigger than my fear. My fear does not control me. I get to determine what I want to do with the fear. I think that's a really important part that I almost forgot there. The part of the unshakable self-belief is not simply to remove fear. People say to me a lot, like, you're fearless. I'm not. I feel fear, but I don't give it the power. And when you remove the power by bringing it into the light, you zap the power that fear has over you. And therefore, we can see it as a part of us, an integration of us, the shadows, right? The light, the dark. And rather than making them bad, we just make it a part of life. And I stop trying to heal and fix myself with all of these fears that I have. And I instead walk hand in hand with it and I welcome it. I welcome in fear because I know when I welcome in fear, I'm growing as a human. Okay. The second thing is the identity piece on a subconscious level. Now, if you want to have an unshakable level of self-belief, you need to think about what that version of you would think, do, and be, right? The be, do, have equation that I talk about all the time. If the version of you who has unshakable self-belief, what specifically would she do? And one thing that I really, really love when it comes to unshakable self-belief, again, is first and foremost that you get to determine it. But secondly, if I was to really believe in myself unconditionally, would I be fiercely protective of my fears and limitations or fiercely protective of my vision? This is something that I learned from Gay Hendricks in the book, The Big Leap. When we entertain our fears, we justify them. So sometimes we can fight in alignment and we fight for our fears more than we fight for our dreams. Because if we fight for our fears, then we get to hold on to those limitations, right? You get to hold on to these self-fulfilling prophecies. You get to hold on to these stories that we tell ourselves. An ultimate, manifestation is realizing that I am source, right? I get to determine everything that I experience. So if you have a limitation, right? Maybe you have a doubt around how much money you can earn. Maybe you are thinking about investing in a program, right? But you're like, I don't know if I'll make it back. I don't think that I'm that kind of person. I don't know if I could post on social media consistently. I don't know if I can learn it, right? Like, I hear these things all the time. And people are like, oh, but I've been trying to grow on social media for so long and it's not worked. Well, obviously, what you've been doing is not working. So we need to do something differently. But you can fight to defend your fears or you can fight to defend your vision. And this is where it's really important if you want to have unshakable self belief that you have a vision that you're working towards that is beyond just money. It's more than just money. It's about showing yourself who you get to become along the way. And so what this really comes is from a place of curiosity, right? If I am trying to grow my social media and I'm noticing something's not really working, I'm consistent with a certain style of content, I can then, because I have really strong levels of curiosity, and I see this all as like one big journey. Again, there's no end destination. I'm like, oh, okay. So what I've been trying, even if you paid a lot of money, right, for a course, right? Sometimes they're like, this way is the only way. Even if I've tried that, that's not working. Let me get curious as to why. Is my heart not really in it? Am I not really that like trying that hard? I remember for a really long time, I held on to the limitation that I was trying everything, that I had done everything, that I just couldn't grow my business. And I really made that a part of my story. That was a limiting belief I was really fiercely protective of, that I was trying everything and therefore nothing worked for me. And no matter how many things I invested in, nothing really worked. But the truth is that I wasn't really trying that hard. Like I was doing the bare minimum. I was posting once a day. I was sending out 2 emails a week, and I was maybe uploading a podcast once a week. Like, are you like, be for real? Be for real. You cannot say you are trying your hardest to grow your business if all you can do is muster up one half-ass post every single day. Like, seriously, if you really want something, right? The truth is, if you really, really want something, you have to be fiercely protective of the vision and not allow yourself to lean into these excuses of, I'm trying everything and nothing's worked. I think we see so many fast success that we believe success should be fast for every single one of us. But that is the rarity. Do you know how rare it is? There's like hundreds of thousands of creators, there's hundreds of thousands of business coaches, there's hundreds of thousands of manifestation coaches, whatever it is that you are, there are hundreds and thousands of people trying to make it work. And did you know less than 20% of coaches actually make more than £5,000 a month? Less than 20%. That blew my mind because in my head, like that's a given. Everybody does, but it's not, right? Less than 20%. And so if you like entertain the belief and the fears and the limitations that like, oh, I've tried everything and nothing's working, of course that is the result that you're going to get because you're operating within the entire other 80% the same way that everybody else is. So you have to be fiercely protective of your goals. You have to have the courage to do things that feel really uncomfortable. Try new content styles. Try doing things that you have never done. Try, exploring new like hooks. Try and study the algorithm. I think people underestimate the amount of work that it takes, and the reality behind building unshakable levels of self-belief is that it cannot just come from the mind and cannot just come from the beliefs that you have. It also has to come from pairing that with aligned action and doing the things and becoming a master and becoming really good and entering your zone of genius, as Day Hendricks would say, and really getting good at something and becoming the master of it. You don't understand how many hours I have poured into learning about the algorithm, learning about hooks, learning about disruption, learning about storytelling, learning about sales psychology. And all of these hours of learning and experiencing are then accumulated into a singular Instagram post that maybe does really well. And people go, oh my gosh, you're so lucky that it's gone viral, but you don't see all of the behind the scenes work and the mastery that is taken to get to that point. And unshakable for me, levels of self belief come from knowing that I am who I say I am. right? I think of the identity of the version of me who's earned the amount of money that I want to earn. So I think of me with a multi-million pound business, and then I act as if. And when I say act as if, I don't go around pretending I'm earning multi-million pounds and like spend it on stupid stuff. No, I think of the mind frame that I would be in, right? The version of me earning that amount of money. What would she be thinking? What would she be doing? How would she really be practicing her skills? Would she be sat here like, ugh, I posted 7 days in a row and nothing's what? No, I would be curious. I would be investigative. I would hire the best of the best of the best of the best of the best to continue to learn and develop my skill set. Unshakable self belief comes from the follow through and being the person who is worthy of those results. You are not going to scale to where you want to get to by being somebody who is inconsistent, by being somebody who posts half-assed, right? I've spoken about this multiple times over. If you want to build a really strong personal brand, start now. Don't like wait until you have a certain amount of followers or a certain amount of income to start posting across different platforms or learning things, right? A lot of my self belief has come from being somebody who is, right? So I don't see myself as somebody who struggles. I see myself as someone who is. I don't see myself as someone who fails. I see myself as somebody who simply gets whatever she wants because I am that person, right? So I don't think of, oh, I haven't hit my income goal for this month. I think of, oh, well, I'm gonna. So let me do the things that I would need to do and be the person who I would need to be in the way of leadership, in the way of content, in the way of marketing, in the way of sales, in the way of investing, in the way of looking after myself as if I am already there. When you wait and you create conditionality, of course, your self belief is going to be tainted because you create these conditions as to who you get to be right now. Like, oh, I want to get to this point, but I'm not there yet. So let me just do these things. And I think a lot of the time, unshakable levels of self belief come from repetition and mastery and building confidence and building conviction. When you say things like, and I really would love for you to practice like understanding your limiting beliefs and saying, oh, I have a limiting belief around how much money I can make. And then I ask you, well, how much money have you made thus far? And there is a reality behind the fact that the amount of money that you want to make, the amount of money that you're making right now don't match up. So is it a limiting belief that you can't make a certain amount of money? Or is it that you have not gained any evidence around it, right? You've not gained any positive evidence yet. That's completely cool. Of course, you haven't gained any evidence because if you'd gained evidence, then it would be proof, not belief. Belief in the vision and having conviction and having a vision is being able to desire something that you have not yet got, right? Like we have visions of things that we have not yet got. And if you had gotten it, then it wouldn't be a vision. It wouldn't be strategy. It wouldn't be growth. It would simply be evidence of a repeating thing. So you're not supposed to have full confidence, full conviction, full evidence behind every single thing that you do. And that's why we walk hand in hand with fear, as I said at the start of this training, right? So when you can learn to do this and when you can learn to stay in the money zone and become somebody who is unshakable, become somebody who is always moving in alignment with faith over fear, and you can really think about the things that you would do, how you would be, and you give yourself the positive evidence that you are who you say you are, that builds up small amounts of micro moments that build the belief over time, that build an unshakable conviction within you. But you have to earn it. You have to do the things in order to earn it. It doesn't just come. So whatever it is that you are fearing right now, if you feel like your self-belief is tainted, if you feel like you want to do these things, but you fear posting certain things, you fear claiming maybe you fear claiming how fucking good that you are because you're afraid someone's going to come along and say, well, I don't think you're that good, right? Well, make sure that you get good. Make sure that you practice and you get good and that you know your stuff and that you give yourself the proof of concept and you show yourself that you are the embodiment of what you teach or what you desire to teach. I would never try and teach something that I'm not fully embodied within because there would be warning signals going off in my mind that will say, I don't think we can teach this because I don't think we're fully embodied in it. I would never teach something like how to do cold DMs and do sales calls from there because I don't do that. I do sales through the DMs. I do sales through links. I do sales through one-to-many sales presentations, right? I don't do sales calls anymore. I used to, but I don't do them anymore. So I wouldn't teach on that because I'm not fully embodied in it. So the secrets to unshakable self-belief truly come from being the person who can, truly come from being the person who you say you desire to be in every single moment and choosing that, choosing the vision, choosing the desire, choosing the version of you who can rather than the fear over and over and over again. When you are met with challenges, you ask yourself, am I being in alignment with the vision or in alignment with fear right now? And you ask yourself those things over and over and over again. And over time, you compound tiny little moments of self belief. Every single time you feel the fear and you walk hand in hand with it rather than allowing it to determine your fate, you build up micro moments of self belief. And this is more powerful than any journaling, any affirmations coming from somebody who used to do them constantly. Visualizations are great because you can mentally rehearse yourself in that moment. But another thing that is really good alongside the visualizations is actually doing that in real life and giving yourself that real life practice. The two, visualizations and real life bravery combined, really made a huge difference in my levels of self belief, more than journaling ever did. And I love journaling, but more than I ever did was really being the person I said I was going to be. And that really built so much self belief in myself to know that I wasn't just being in my own head and thinking about it, but I was truly being that version. So they are some tips for you today on really stepping into levels of new beliefs so that you can go ahead and do whatever it is that your heart calls you to do. I hope you love this video. Make sure that you drop me a comment. Let me know what your favorite part was. Subscribe to my channel, give it a like, share it with somebody that needs it, share it with a business owner, share it with a friend, share it with another entrepreneur that you know needs to hear this today. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.